Chapter 29-35. Arthuria's POV. My first trial happened to be a little hard as I had to face a wyvern. I was a little tense since the army was lesser as compared to the army I should have brought. Due to selective measures, it was 2/4 of what the city would have offered plus the time we wasted to select the knights and their combat ability. If the situation got out of control, then I would have failed in my first quest. The burden of blame would have to go to Einar, my most beloved knight and best friend, since he was the one who insisted on selecting knights and making a safe hand strategy against simple barbarians. I can't let that happen. I can't show my pathetic side to people, and especially to him. Einar's strategy was also correct, since nobody would have guessed that there were wyverns here in the outpost. If it was a normal army of the city, then they would have wiped out in no time. When wyverns flew in the air, I first convey my orders to take care of troublesome beasts first. Merlin activated a large-scale barrier to protect the knights against the rain of arrows protecting knights before their real battle. I channeled my mana on my magic boots and jumped towards the black wyvern. And, she is not an R. Or is she? However, it flapped its wings creating a vacuum of air and pushed me away, but I didn't fall directly on the ground as I channeled mana on my boots again to jump again towards the black wyvern. This time it didn't divert my attention from the airstrike and breathe fire from its mouth. I sliced the incoming wave of flames with my caliban and avoided being hit directly, but when came out from the wave, the wyvern was not there. It was in the air and looking at me with amused eyes, as if he was just playing with me. I gritted my teeth as I hate to be looked down on. It reminds me of Einar's eyes of our duel. I was afraid of those eyes, and to avoid Einar's loathing eyes, I would do anything. I jumped again to chase after the wyvern and soon I was able to land a clean hit on its back, but it was not enough to kill the damn thing. Ops wrong language. Einar's foul moth was affecting me. I was slowly getting closer to land a clean strike on its neck when I saw that Einar came back after dealing with a wyvern. I knew that I was weak. It was also his first time dealing with wyvern, yet he dealt with it in no time, and here I was having a hard time just to get closer to it. If you look at general perspective, then both I and Einar were greenhorns, yet he was far stronger and sharper than me. I could explain several reasons, like he is half Fae, greater magic reserve and control, greater opportunities to explore his abilities, while I was just a training-in knight and simply a squire of a knight before drawing the legendary sword, but they could only be called excuses. If I want to be the ideal king that people expect and Einar be proud of, then I have to come out from the abyss through my own abilities no matter what the situation is. Einar would call me cringe if he knew what I was thinking. Cringe. And I heard him. Anyway, I then calmed down before waiting for a time and jump again, cutting wyvern's neck. I then came back and saw Einar preparing a siege attack. Charge my men! I roared like a lion and ride on my horse to defeat barbarians and kill the leader. I didn't notice when I first killed a human, but I neither cared nor do I had time to deal with these kinds of emotions. I then soon came in front of a 2 meters tall man. He had a big club in his hand and looking at me like I was some kind of insect. I pointed my sword at him and spoke, "Surrender now, or you will face severe consequences." PFFF. Ha ha ha. Isn't that a cute new king? What can you do? Hit and run, he said and laughed. I knew that he won't take me seriously. From Merlin's teachings, I was aware that he was ready to face me head-on and crush me like an insect. I didn't say anything and charge at him. He blocked my sword with his big club and smirked. However, his smug face turned ugly when I used mana burst and pushed him few meters away. He was astonished at how I generated such strength from my tiny body to push away a 2 meters big man. This time he didn't try to play and swing his club vertically to attack me, but I dodged easily and swing caliban, cutting his club from the hilt. What the? He panicked when I swiftly gained an upper hand, but before he could take another action, I jumped and kicked his chin. Arg! I smiled and didn't chase after him for the kill, but instead waited for him to get up. It was my time to play with him a little. You. Who are you? What are you? He was panicking and was clearly on edge. Tell me, how were you able to tame those wyverns? No, who is behind you? I asked. Haha, now I see. You want me to tell you this? He gained his confidence when I tried to ask questions. He must be feeling like he has a way to get away long as he had the desired information. Very well. I will give you a clue. It was a leader from the outsiders. He spoke slowly, standing up. Outsiders referred to Saxons. It meant that a commander under Vortigern, my uncle, was behind all of this. I will tell you the rest of the information if you let me go. You could keep all the gold in my treasury. At his statement, I posed my stance like I was considering his proposal. Merlin, Einar, and Brother Kay also came and were looking as if I need their assistance. I just smiled, signaling that situation was in my hand. So you want me to let you go, and you will tell me who is behind you? I asked with an innocent face. Yeah, that's right. How about Dash? He was amidst of saying something when my expression turned serious as I spoke. Daga, Kotawaru. Flashback. Third person POV. What is this? Artoria asked, receiving a book from Einar. A book about rare culture, Einar answered with a cough, looking away. Culture? Innocent Artoria was confused and opened the book and saw people doing weird poses while letters were surrounding them. Yes, it will be a culture of the distant future of this island. These acts are highly beneficial for you who have to work your way up to the pinnacle of this world. This is a golden culture that the legendary king should use. No, King Arthur must use these quotes. They are made for heroes. The true heroes. Einar declared the introduction of a new age in front of legendary King Arthur. I get it, Einar, my beloved knight. I will make this culture frequent in my new kingdom. But what does this book call? Artoria agreed, despite those poses looking ridiculous. JoJo references Volume 1. Flashback ends. Artoria's POV. Daga, what? It means, but I refuse. One of the things that I, the righteous King Arthur Pendragon, love doing the most, beside eating food cooked by Einar, is saying no right to the faces of those who think they got an absolute advantage over me. I said loudly, telling my mind to the barbarian leader as well as my fellow knights. Silence prevailed everywhere before knights started to cheer for me. Woohoo! That looks so cool. Yeah, I have no idea that our leader is not only brave and strong but also cool. I would die peacefully if I just got a chance to witness King Arthur's that brave quote again. Our name will be in history to witness King Arthur in his first glorified moment. I smiled when I received the praises, but one who I wanted to hear was silent. Demand you. How can you be so cool? The barbarian leader got up and charged at me with a short sword, but I was faster than him as my sword pierced his heart. I felt a little lost since I took another life, but Einar came and put his hand on my head. That's warmed my heart. You did great. He simply smiled and patted my head. I felt so much blissful for Einar, who shows this smile only to me. I didn't care even if it looks embarrassing, patted by a child. I was happy. He then faced the army, who finished dealing with the barbarians and nodded at me. I smiled and raised my sword in the air upon receiving this victory. All hail King Arthur. Einar initiated the applaud and the rest of the knights followed. All hail King Arthur. All hail King Arthur. All hail King Arthur. All hail King Arthur. All hail Prince Vegeta. Wait. Einar, POV. PFF, ha ha ha. Merlin was rolling on the ground and laughing like a maniac. PFFF, ha ha ha. Merlin, you idiot, stop laughing. Ha ha ha. I was also trying hard to stop my laughter, but it was in vain. No. I can't stop laughing after the stunt that you pulled. It was not a stunt. It was culture. And so we laughed at the introduction of the craziest culture from my previous life. Soon the world shall feel the JoJo. Einar's POV. After the sudden rise of a new king, Arthur Pendragon, many came to show their respect, submit loyalty, or challenge him for a duel if they think that king was not worthy. Of course, he was a king with iron will and passion that shines even brighter than the sun. He easily defeated every single obstacle and showed the Britons that they don't have to fear any longer. One after another, the party of 4 knights came across many cities and territories and makes them submit to the rightful king. Soon they reached the final goal to reach the kingdom of Cameliard. From modern-day geography, it exists somewhere in Wales. This country was ruled by King Leodegrance. We first showed our loyalty and then hold the negotiations if King Leodegrance wants to serve King Arthur. Like other kings of small kingdoms in this era, he was more than happy to serve the rightful king with the same condition, slay Vortigern first. Stats. Name, Einar Sirius. Race, human/fae. Age, 17. Physique. Strength, D+++-C+. Mana, EX. Endurance, C+-C+++. Agility, B+-B+++. Luck, EX. My strength also improved, but it was not that much since from now on my strength lies in techniques, magic, and age experience. My ability to handle the spear in the battle was also improved, but I still lack a technique if I have to use the spear manually. I should look for a teacher to improve my technique, but there were not many who handle spear in this era. I wonder if I could find a teacher with skin-tight suit and voluptuous body. I also learned to use magecraft on gems and jewels, and they were very effective. Although they are costly, they could be considered the most outstanding material if you want to enchant them with magic. They produce good results and their abilities to function also don't decay. Sir Einar, what are you thinking? A girl asked. She had long blonde hair and purplish eyes. She was also dressed in an exquisite robe. She had pure milky skin and a beautiful face. Nothing serious, Princess Guinevere. Just some recipes easy for you to make. I answered to person. That's right, the person in front of me was famous Guinevere, daughter of King Leodegrance and wife of King Arthur and lover of Lancelot from the legends. It was my first time meeting with the legendary princess at this early stage. People might ask why I was not doing anything to prevent her from stealing my waifu? The answer is simple, she can't. Even if Arturia wanted to be treated as a man, she can't simply marry an innocent person who believed in Arturia. Another reason was that King Leodegrance was our sponsor with the biggest support against Vortigern. If I do something irrational, then it will affect our progress. All of them know that as far as I am around, no one can even think of something so disgusting as to let two women marry each other. Fufu Sir Einar, you don't have to be formal. Why don't you call me Gwinchan as you called me the first day of our meeting? She chuckled and asked. Aw, forget about it. I didn't know that you were a princess. Normally girls would troll around me to get my attention since I am so handsome and charming, but you were different as to not react upon seeing my face, so I just wanted to tease you a little bit. I said and coughed with a red face. Yesterday, during our meeting with King Leodegrance at a table, she came to serve the tea, but when she looked at me with an indifferent face unlike other girls, I decided to tease her a little. Kuhaha, what's your name, Miss Beautiful Blondie? I am Guinevere. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. How about we have dinner this night, Gwinchan? I was a little happy at that time since we got a permanent place to stay, so I got carried away until I was reminded by Merlin that the person in front of me was the Princess Guinevere and I just hit on the princess in front of King Leodegrance and Arturia. Yeah, that was an awkward moment. Thanks to Merlin and Arturia, the matter didn't last long. Instead, both I and Guinevere became friends. For the time being, I was advised to be her attendant mage responsible for teaching her a little magecraft and how to cook delicacies. Sir Einar, you are so funny, but please call me Gwinchan, I like that name a lot. Being someone informal to me was a good experience. It gives me a sense of closeness. She smiled. Oi, I told you not to fall for me. I told you that my heart is already stolen by beauty with no brains. I smirked and shook my head. She stared at me for a moment before burst into laughter. Oh, Sir Einar, you are the most interesting person I have ever met. Don't worry, I won't fall for you. It's a promise. She wiped a tear from her eyes and said. Then I will call you Gwinchan, but in return call me Brother Einar. After all, we both are close, but people might misunderstand our relationship. Besides, I will also treat you like a little sister. I offered a suggestion. You have to be careful as every step with royalties is judged by people. Servants in the castle could be called paparazzi of this era, and if they saw you interacting with princess or other royalty, then it is just a matter of time before the word gets out, destroying the public image of the princess. She was a sincere girl and treated me like a good friend, but what I liked her about most that she never once commented on my height. I still looked like a 12-year-old brat, yet she served with the utmost respect when she looked like a proper woman even if she was just 14 years old. I didn't want to ruin her reputation because of me. I know my attitude is a bit casual, so people might mistake us lovers. Deal, then Brother Einar, what would you be teaching me then? She asked. I nodded and pointed at the baker. We were in the kitchen of the castle since I was teaching the princess how to cook. I never showed my culinary skills to anyone outside the circle of our group since I wanted to be the only one to make dishes for Arturia. Guinevere wanted me to teach her cooking since she once tasted cookies I made and immediately became interested in cooking. Cake. Cake? Yes, cake. It is something that will be invented in the 13th century, but because of my clairvoyance, you are going to witness such delicacy so soon. I nodded with pride. Wow, Brother Einar is so cool. I am now really curious about this cake. She beamed a smile. She knows how to act like a princess and make others do her favors. Of course, I could have rejected her, but I had no reason to do so as I didn't feel any kind of malice from her. Then pay close attention. This is also a matter of heart and soul. Don't try too hard and don't try to take it easy. Food is something that touches the heart of the one you are serving. And I go on and on for 15 minutes before I start making the cake. After I finished making a strawberry cake, I saw Guinevere drooling before quickly wiping her mouth and blushed. Haha, try tasting it. I chucked and offered her a bite. She nodded and took a bite. It's so good. She was jolted in pleasure and entered her own world. That reaction was not new, as I have seen some people even stripping their clothes. After finishing the whole piece of cake without any care of the world, she came back to reality and saw my smug face. Please forgive my rudeness. She apologized with a red face. I just chuckled and patted her head. Haha, it's no big deal. I told you that I am a passionate cook first before knight or mage. I smiled and said. She nodded and then asked me if I could help her and made one by herself, to which I agreed. She was able to make a tasty cake, unlike a certain eating waifu. She asked me if she could let others taste the cake and went out with her servants. I also followed her as I knew where she was going first. I saw Arturia is a noble outfit walking in the hallway with Caliban on her waist while female servants were watching her with glittering eyes. Although Arturia's gender was not a problem, she still looked like a charming prince with girlish features. There were very few males with charming looks, since most of the males tend to be a knight and make their bodies muscular, so males like Arthur and Ma were rare, even though Arthur was a she. Guinevere went towards Arturia and offered Arturia a bite. Arturia took the bite and smiled, praising Guinevere for her outstanding culinary skills. Guinevere smiled, and after exchanging few words she went for her father's chamber. Sorry dear, but you will not get what you are looking for. I smiled like an evil mage. According to the cake. And Guinevere looks like Europa from FGO. There was also some shit with her twin sister in most of the legends, but her lore in Fate is different. This chapter is to convey that how MC treats Guinevere and their later interaction will be influenced by their sibling-like relationship. Sorry, this isn't a harem story, or is it? Einar's POV. The first 4 members had been selected for the Knights of the Round Table. They were Arthur, Merlin, Sir Kay, and me. I was so happy that I was finally the part of the legendary table where more future knights will join. Where are we going to initiate our plan? Sir Einar, please explain. Arturia, now, Arthur asked in a masculine voice. It was another function of her mystic code. I was given the position of explaining the records and schedules, since after Arturia I was given the education of a noble. Brother Sir Kay was also an educated person, but he was not used to running his brain cells, and as for Merlin, this bastard was the one who made me submit this position, but both of our roles were similar to advisor since we both had the necessary knowledge. My position was not less than anyone on the table. In fact, I could be considered a key member even more than king, since I had knowledge of the future. I made my name by improving the management and way of living. I didn't want to disturb the timeline by inventing futuristic machines, since I didn't want to steal someone's hard work. Merlin could be said to be the wisest man, whereas I could be considered a knowledgeable man. Very well, King Arthur. I nodded and opened the report. I was addressing her as King Arthur and not Your Majesty, since she still didn't conquer Camelot. 3 nations have denied your kingship of Britain. They are Britons independent from Saxons, but they would not likely submit to you, my king. As we all expected, many small countries didn't want to submit to Uther's heir. They were the nobles who would immediately betray their countries if they are given a better profit. That was the harsh reality and main flaw of the nobility of this era. Christianity was not common here, and most of the people lack proper morals and faith. People here would immediately lie, kill, or betray if they could gain better gain. I have witnessed this mess on my journey. I also argued with Arturia, who wanted to forgive her enemies who betrayed their lords and join Arthur's forces after witnessing how strong Arthur was. I will never allow any of the scums to join the army, even if they helped us to achieve a goal. Once a betrayal, always a betrayal. I believed in this logic. Arturia was also right, as by forgiving others she could earn the trust of more people, whereas if she was executing people who helped her, she could lose the trust of people. There were 2 options with equal benefits and flaws. I wanted the army to be clean from scums who would stab your back if they see opportunity, while Arturia wanted to earn the trust of the people as soon as possible and gather forces against Vortigern. In the end, we have to agree with Arturia's method to gather forces. One reason was that she was still a king with the only title while she lacks resources. We didn't discard my method as Artoria punished the sinners who were in the army because some city lord wants a big force against Artoria. I didn't know why she was so eager to unite this island as soon as possible, but I could only raise my advice and can't force it to her since she was a king. Then my knights, please share your opinions. She asked for our opinions. Merlin suggested looking for states with most forces, while Sir Kay wanted to first unite the northern part of the island before standing up against Vortigern. I just sighed and opened the map that I designed using my knowledge of previous life and some information I gathered from this era. I pointed at a kingdom and spoke, I say we must first conquer the estate of Penites ruled by King Arthurius. And, yeah, pun intended. And your reason is? Artoria nodded and asked. Simple, it is the nearest state from our current settlement and has abundant resources. King is young and an idiot while his force is relatively large. If we conquer it, then not only we will get a good foothold against Vortigern but also cut his connection to northern Britain. I said and got a satisfactory response from them. I never traveled whole Britain myself since I was a patient of cancer, but I know the general geography of my country. The kingdom of Penites was situated somewhere in Lincolnshire. There was also a river that separates this state from crossing directly into the land, and that river is called Glane. And there is another river with the same name in Northumberland, but Lincolnshire is near Wales. Correct me if I am wrong, since I don't live in the UK. I suggest we should go with Einar's advice. Merlin was the first one who voted in my favor. I don't have a problem. It is the precise plan, so I am in. Sir Kay also spoke. Thanks, Sir Einar. We will proceed with this plan. Artoria said with a gentle smile. I nodded with the same kind smile, but a little faint. Artoria had changed. She smiled only for people now. After discussing some more countermeasures, we disclosed the meeting. Artoria stopped me to talk some more in private. She came and looked at my face, but not at my eyes. I could only read her expression from her antenna called a hogue on her head, which was down, meaning that she was a little sad. Sir, my best friend Einar, I am sorry if I hurt you by not going your way. She apologized, not in the capacity of king but as a friend. When she apologized, I felt a little hurt instead of any joy or warmth. She was feeling guilty for not going my way and thinking that I would be angry. Why would my advice even matter if you have to apologize in the end? It would have been better if she explained to me her reasons. It damaged my pride as a knight. It was the first time I feared that she would do something more reckless in the future. King Arthur, I would suggest you to stay firm from your decisions. If you think something is right, then do so without any regret. If you feel guilty, then it would create doubts, which will lead to your ultimate failure. I said with a firm tone in the capacity of a knight. She smiled and nodded, you are right. Thank you for reminding my mistake, Sir Einar. This time her expression was not down and looking composed. Hee, that's my beautiful king. What do you want to eat for the dinner? Menu of your choice. I said with a giggle and patted her head. She blushed a little and coughed, then I would like to taste biryani, something spicy. Even if she was a little idiot, she was still a glutton. And, biryani is Indian subcontinent mixed rice dish. PFF. Okay, you got it. I smiled to lighten the mood. I suddenly felt immense, killing intent towards me just for a second before it disappeared completely. What was that? I thought and looked around but found no one. I can't sense magic, or I was unable to since I didn't know if someone was keeping an eye on me. What's the matter, Einar? Artoria asked with looking around following my stares. Nothing. I must be hallucinating with you on my bed completely naked asking me, Einar-sama, please eat me, I said with a silly smile. A bomb of smoke exploded on her head before she coughed and walked out of the room with a command, follow me, your king wishes to have a spar with you. Hi, I nodded and followed. It was the day of the strategy of one of the 12 battles of King Arthur. My name is Jagimyu go kono surikar kaijari sujo no sujomatsu unraimatsu furaimatsu kuneru tokoro and isimu tokoro yaburakoji no burakoji pipo no shuringan no gurandai no pompakopi no pompakona no chokumi no chasuk. Jagimyu go kono surikar kaijari sujo no sujomatsu unraimatsu furaimatsu kuneru tokoro and isimu tokoro yaburakoji no burakoji pipo no shuringan no gurandai no pompakopi no pompakona no chokumi no chasuk. Full Metal Alchemist. == The next day, I was working on making some gems with magic abilities. It is getting nowhere. I frowned. Lately, I was having a hard time making any kind of new magic with offensive capabilities. What I can do with magic on my own is no different from the magic that I used without chant. I called his magic gem magecraft. It was different from jewel magecraft used by Rin Tosaka in the sense that it can be used by a third party. I want some help to develop this magic in case of unforeseen circumstances, but I didn't know whom to approach. Merlin was out of the question since once I even say this concept he will develop this magic faster than the speed of sound. Vivian was also out since she was not specialized in this kind of magic. This is similar to rune. I have read about runes and their magic, which is originally magecraft from Age of Gods from Norse mythology. However, I didn't find much about runes since I never considered investing in them. My main focus was always becoming physically strong, so I was neglecting my improvement in magecraft. At that time, I knew that I was lacking a strong goal to capitalize on my magecraft. My weapon Chastiefol was giving me all kinds of support regarding combat, so I never get the motivation to focus on magecraft much. But lately, I was having a tingly feeling that I should learn some magecraft related to crafting like my gem magecraft. Sir Einar, your juice. A maid came with rosy cheeks and placed the juice on my table. Tea was not a commodity on this island. Another negative point for being in this cold place in the 5th century. The maid had short silver hair and wearing a Western-made dress with a knee-length skirt. She was cute and all, but, in fact, she was actually a he. Thanks, Bedivere-chan. I thanked the dude for cross-dressing. He is a training-in knight placed under me to face an opponent with a weak physique appearing to be 16 years old. It was only a surface problem, the real problem was his face. He was just too cute to be a boy. Since we both are cute, he asked me for advice on how to hone skills as a knight with a low physique and weak body. Although he is weak, he had a strong will to support his character. Artoria and I took a liking to him when he was getting utter defeat from the spars between knights. Artoria wanted to take him under her wing, but I decided to recruit him since we both have an adorable face, and to protect him from other fiends I opted to adopt this adorable creature. He looked like Saika Tatsuka from Oreguru. I was training him to strengthen his character and cure his girlish actions. He being made was just one of my ways to wash away my curiosity about cross-dressing. My reason is that he will overcome his girlish nature from acting like a girl. Somehow. Hey Gawain, you need to move up a little, I said to the person I was sitting on with a light kick on his belly. He had blonde hair and a handsome face. He was a good knight who came from Artoria's blood family, his aunt. Yes, he was the son of King Lot and Morgan Pendragon, sister of Artoria Pendragon. He was a great knight, but because he offended someone important because of height, he was reduced to be my dog. He was a knight in Artoria's care, but if I wanted some help in my training, I asked Artoria to lend me her dog knight for a moment. Of course, she had to agree since she would get her deserts cut for a month. Yes. Einar dash. He nodded and rose a little, but I kicked his belly again. This time a little hard. Sir Einar, for you no, call me master and bark. I apologize, master, woof. Good boy, I said and patted his head. I really have a strange fetish. I then heard a knock and before 2 twin chickens entered. Sir Einar. They both ran and hugged me with joyful smiles. Gaharis, Gareth? What are you doing here? There is no candy for you guys. I said and patted their heads. Gaharis was a boy while Gareth was a girl. They were twins around 12 and younger siblings of Gawain. They don't mind their big brother being a chair. They were used to it. Hee, we are here to inform you that mother wanted to invite you for a drink. Lady Morgan? I have met with her first time on my first audience along with Artoria and other knights, but it was the first time she was inviting me in person. I had to go. I patted the twins' heads before handing all 4 of them cotton candy before leaving the room. Gawain and Bedivere were good people. I later walked into a garden surrounded by flowers. In the field, a lady could be seen under a shadow waving her hands at me. She was Morgan Pendragon. Please sit, Sir Einar, Morgan said politely. She had long blonde hair with green eyes and fine figure. A lovely charm of a proper lady could be recognized from her dignified aura. She looked a lot like Artoria, but unlike Artoria, who had the strong presence of a dragon, Morgan was very bright and charming. She appeared to be in her 20s even after being a mother of 4 children. She had another son beside Gawain but didn't meet him. Thank you, Lady Morgan, it is my pleasure to be invited by you, I said and sat down and placed a dish. What is this? She asked curiously and sniffing a sweet scent. Pineapple cake. Try it, I said and gave her a piece. She took a bite and widened her eyes. Gosh, I didn't know that you really are angel chef personally sent here by God, she said with a bright smile. She looked stunning so much that a normal person would immediately fall for her. We then conversed about our lives and daily activities. She asked her children who were training under me, to which I praised her children. She saw me once treating Gawain as a target for my aiming practice, but she didn't seem to mind much. For her, the harder her children train, the better knight they would become. She also talked about Arthur and how he was like in person, to which I only answered faintly. I didn't want to reveal her gender if possible. From her response, I could deduct that she was aware of her sister's gender but didn't push the matter. So Lady Morgan also has the essence of a fae? I asked. She revealed that she was born with that essence from his father's lineage. She was just like me, but with lesser blood since Uther was not a complete fairy. Hehe, I am happy that I could find a fellow half-blooded fae. My children only inherited the strength from me and King Lot, so I was eager to talk to another fae. I am so happy, she beamed a smile. I can't believe she was considered evil in legends. I knew about her legends, but only her legends from stories. I have watched Fate/Apocrypha but only remember her faintly. It was impossible to believe that she was an evil witch queen. Didn't Merlin ever mention me to you? She asked. I see. I smirked since I got to know her real intention. Yes, he mentioned about you. Praised you in such high regard, even calling you the most beautiful woman on the planet. I decided to raise some problems to that half-incubus. Really? Yeah, I even saw him moaning and throwing white liquid on your portrait. He is generally a pervert, but when it comes to you, he becomes sincere. Really, fate is cruel to not grant something you want. I shrugged my shoulders, but then saw her dreaming about that incubus. Merlin thinks about me. And she moaned and licked her finger. Yeah, I knew that she was one of many fans of Merlin. That incubus will definitely suffer one day. She then realized that I was still in front of her and blushed. She coughed and then spoke. Sir Einar, I want to give you something. I am an enchantress, so I created various tools. She handed me something covered in a leather cover. I unpacked and saw a golden dagger. A dagger? Yes, it is called erosion. It has the ability to sever the mind and soul from the body, as well as allow the user to slip into the body, spirit, and soul of its victim. She explained the details. I was surprised that I got my hands on such a mystic code. I could explore many mysteries that were not possible with human flesh. If I could make it work, then I would open multiple possibilities. Of course, I wasn't stupid enough to use it directly before investigating the thing before. And, yep, it is the same dagger that Ritsuka used on the final boss. Both daggers appear with the same function, but the one in Morgan's possession had a name. It is one of many nameless noble phantasms from Gilgamesh's treasury, Gate of Babylon. I can't explain how his treasury works, but you can watch How Strong is Gilgamesh from News on YouTube. But why are you giving this treasure to me? I was confused. Don't take me wrong. I just want to build trust by gifting you my best treasure. Haha, sorry if I was rude. I was just a little surprised receiving such treasure. Even Merlin or Vivian didn't give anything valuable. Well, they tried giving me various weapons, but I refused since the abilities of those tools were similar to my Chastiefol. We then talked for a while before we parted our ways. It was a warming conversation with a beautiful lady. Third person POV. Morgan could be seen happily humming in her room when she fell into confusion. I hope he could use erosion for greater good. She smiled before she felt a little headache. Her smile then turned into a grin and her eyes went dull. I must take this island from sweet brother. After all, I am the rightful heir. No one is allowed to come in my way. She grinned before turning back to her former self and resumed to hum a lullaby. Later on the same night, I was then researching the erosion, the dagger given to me by Morgan. In the last moment of my previous life, I watched FGO Demonic Front Babylonia. I remember that MC used this dagger against Tiamat to enter her subconsciousness. It was given to him by Gilgamesh, who has every noble phantasm ever existed made by humanity. Should I use this thing? I questioned myself. I was still confused as to why I was given this treasure. Morgan was supposed to be the evil character of the legends who wanted to take the throne from her brother. Even in the Type Moon universe, I have seen her in Fate/Apocrypha, so I knew that her character was evil, or at least it should have been. However, she was in no way considered evil. Maybe I changed the timeline, maybe she was a good version of Morgan, or maybe she was still pure who still didn't have any wish to take the throne from her brother. Possibilities are endless, but the answer is uncertain. Maybe some other time. I was not sure if it was even safe to use a tool that interferes with the soul or spirit. I am not efficient enough to investigate complex tools. For now, I should sleep. Tomorrow is an important day, I said, and stored the erosion in storage. The next day, I would meet Uther Pendragon. Third person POV. Next day. In a room, many people could be seen. A person was lying on a bed. He had silver hair and a beard. He was an old man with a blank expression. His name was Uther Pendragon, former king of Britain as well as the father of Morgan and Arthur Pendragon. On his left side, a person with blonde hair and ponytail could be seen sitting on a chair. He was actually a she, whose name was Arthur Pendragon with male persona, and Artoria Pendragon with female trait. There were also two other individuals standing behind Artoria. They were Merlin and Einar, half incubus and half fairy. Both of their faces were covered with a hood, so their current expressions were uncertain, with a slight opening on their lips. Merlin could be seen with his smile, whereas Einar was silent. Artoria was looking at her father for the first time in her life. Her expression was black as to not feeling any kind of emotion for her father. Although from blood, Uther was Artoria's father, she could only see him as a fallen king or perhaps stranger. Artoria. Uther opened his mouth and spoke. His words were weak as he didn't have any pride, or perhaps because of guilt, he couldn't come up to talk to her. Maybe you will never gain a peaceful life, because of me. Artoria didn't have words to refute since she knew what was coming for her. But as long as my elder brother, Vortigern, is around here, peace is, but impossible for anyone, Uther spoke, looking at the ceiling of the room. I understand, father, Artoria spoke, calling the man her father even though all he did was given her life in this world. Everything was decided by her father and Magus, before she could even be born in this world. Pain, goals, and her destiny were all decided as a result of a plan to give Britain an ideal king. Father. I see. Must be very painful for you to even call this foolish old man. Uther smiled slightly, looking at Artoria. It is not like that, father. It is only natural for me to call you such. Please don't be concerned yourself for me. Artoria spoke with a smile, the same smile that she invented for the sake of her future kingdom. I see. It is good to be called father once in a while. Uther said, then his gaze fell on Einar. You have a good friend there. Ah yes, he is Einar, my best friend, and knight. I am sure he will be the best support of my life journey. Artoria introduced Einar, who was silently listening to both daughter and father. Good. You shall defeat Vortigern, Artoria, know Arthur Pendragon as the rightful king. Never let any feeling overshadow your goal. Is that clear? Uther asked Artoria with a serious expression. Very well, this will always be my goal. Artoria nodded. Then you shall leave. I want to talk to this Einar individual. Uther asked to talk privately with Einar. Both Artoria and Merlin looked a little anxious letting Einar be with the former king, but Einar smiled at both of them. Very well, we shall leave first, Artoria said and nodded at Merlin before leaving the room. What are you waiting for, Einar? Serious, do lack. If you want to kill me, then do it. Uther said with a grin, looking at Einar, ignoring the spar pointing at his neck. Oh, I will do just right, you son of a bitch. Einar grinned with bloodlust in his eyes. Einar's POV. You are not going to meet King Uther, Brother K? I asked Brother K, who was cleaning his armor and lance. It was his habit to do so since he liked the armor I made for him. Brat, I don't like that guy. He said while polishing his armor. Why? It is not like he was a tyrant. He wants to save his kingdom, so could be a little forceful. If you are concerned about Artoria, then don't be. After all, I am the one she fell for first. I said with a smug. Haha, I won't deny that I once had an interest at first, but not anymore. Anyway, I am sure Merlin told you how Uther planned Artoria to be ideal king. He said and put down his armor. His eyes were firm and serious. But isn't Uther loved a grain and Artoria wishes to be king? If she wanted to deny so, then she would have done this. When she pulled Caliban out of the slab, I was there. I tried hard to stop her. I explained my reasons desperately. I knew what the hell was wrong, but I was just too coward to look at the shadow. Einar, who are you trying to explain? There was not a damn love between them. Igraine was the wife of Duke Cornwall. When Uther finds out the prophecy of the next heir, he tried to ask Igraine about marriage, despite being the wife of a duke. Later, when there was no way, do you know what he did? I shook my head. He used magecraft and act like Duke to conceive a child from Igraine just to create ideal king. I was stunned. Isn't that called R***E? Haha, it will not be your first time seeing this. Anyway, Arturia wishes to be king because she came to this world with that plan. Choice? Don't be kidding me. You are the only one with a choice here. He laughed and patted my head, but my mind was a mess. Why I didn't realize that she was basically not a human but a machine with the goal to be achieved. I was ignorant, but what I was furious about was that damn Uther. I didn't discredit Merlin since I knew he was part of this whole mess. Even if Brother K didn't inform me that Merlin had his hand in all of this, I knew that the magecraft of that type could only be pulled by Merlin. Brother K got up and picked his armor and lance before leaving to place them on the shelf. Go, and don't waste time here, he said with an indifferent face. I silently nodded and got up and was about to leave before I heard Brother K calling my name, Einar. Yes, Brother K? Don't bother to judge someone based on others' call. Make your own judgment and look in your collar before you confront someone else. This world will and always been gray. I nodded and left. I get the meaning behind Brother K's words, but I decided to kill that damn weak king who placed all the responsibility on his child instead of developing the balls to confront his own brother. Ann. Karen Araragi is getting her teeth brushed from her brother. Nissa Monogatari. A pierce of silence for those having lewd thoughts. Einar's POV. My eyes were cold and my spear was pointing at the neck of Uther Pendragon. I couldn't believe that this bitch used his child for his selfish desires. Must be thinking why I am using my daughter for my selfish desires, correct? Uther spoke what was on my mind. I was taken back from his precise words that were in my mind. You must also be wondering why no, how you are reincarnated into this world, isn't that right? I opened my eyes wide open. Let me tell you my story that no one in this world knows of but me. Uther said, then began explaining his story and secret. Uther Pendragon POV. Uther Pendragon was the name given to me by my parents. I was always favored by my parents and older brother Vortigern. From a young age, I started to show talents in various fields including jousting, fencing, and archery. Despite having an older brother, it was evident that who was going to get the throne of this island. My brother tried to take any means necessary to dethrone me, but I defeated him, spread eagle, and banished him from this island. But my rule was but of short period. The alliance between this island and Romans was cut off, and Vortigern also came to claim my head and easily won against me with such a destructive force that was inhuman in any way you see. He was now a dragon. Britain broke into many countries and foreigners began their invasion. The Magus came to with this prophecy, and I was prepared for it. He also gave me the happy news that my next heir will be the one who will defeat the Vortigern and unite the kingdom. He will be the greatest king. But to do so, a lady with noble blood was required. Wife of Duke Cornwall, Igraine came to my view. I tricked Duke and married the beautiful lady. Bear the child and was ready to see the day when you will defeat the evil dragon, but my hope shattered when the child was born a girl. No matter what, a girl can never rule this island, that's what was told in this country. But that Magus discarded her gender on her path. My child was taken away. If you look from the third person's point, then it was a very pathetic story of a king, but there was a secret to it. From birth to doom, I knew all of it. That is what was visible in front of my eyes. I always had this talent where I could see my future very well. From my birth to my days in bed, I knew that my fate was already decided. It was already set on stone. What a pathetic life I am living. I knew that I will be the king of this island and then fall soon. I knew my brother will take this throne soon and my son will defeat my brother. I knew all of it. Why I didn't try to change? I freaking did. I tried my best to favor my brother, but before I could do something to put my elder brother on the throne, I was already a king. I knew all of this. I knew that I couldn't escape from this fate of a character named Uther Pendragon. My brother was cruel and selfish, but at least he was independent to be tied by this. When my second daughter was born and taken away to become the ideal king, I knew that what awaits her. I hated my one-way path. In every person's life, there will always be several paths for you to choose, but for me, Uther Pendragon always had only one path to choose and die in the end. I wanted to change this. Then I prayed. Even though I was a talent with dragon blood, I never prayed to God. I wanted to change it, so I prayed, and soon a fairy answered it. What do you wish to change? Is there always doom to a tragic king? Yes, but it is, but just and will always be a story. Then bet my soul and change it for me. Even if there is a little chance. Very well. I will pull a soul with undersigned fate from another universe, but even then it will not be certain. Do so. I have nothing to lose. Einar's POV. And so 1/10th of my soul was taken as an exchange, and you were given the chance of second life. I am but a paralyzed man now. Uther explained with a grin. I was a little baffled that someone sacrificed himself to this gamble, and I was about to tear him apart. Story seems legit, but quite BS. Why didn't you ask this Merlin dash? Listen Einar, Merlin is also a slave of this system. His clairvoyance is not omnipotent. There is a gap to it. Even so, as long as I am by her side, I won't let her die. I said, averting my eyes. Every step I take I made sure that it will be a success, even there is a 1% chance, but this time, Uther's eyes of looking down on my resolve, terrified me. Kid, calling a bird a dragon will not make the bird dragon. Use JoJo reference. The point is, no matter what, if you touch the fate of someone, your fate is bound to be doomed and you can't escape from it. In the end, you will become just like us. At this point, I was enraged by his babbling. Bullshit. Do you want me to simply run away and abandon Artoria? The life you are expecting is just a dream. And yes, run away. I will lose this gamble, but you can have an easy life. That does not gonna happen. Then become someone to bend the destiny. What do you mean? Become a god. Now you really want me to kick your ass? God? I was trying hard to live as a human, marry Artoria and have kids, and now he was telling me to become some high almighty and listen to others? Haha, I know what are you thinking, but it is entirely your choice. I knew that this old man had something to tell me, so I sat on the chair and sighed, ready to listen. There are 2 steps for you to change this fate. Get some divinity and learn the magic of gods. How can I do that? The first step will be discovered by you eventually, but for the second one, you have to learn the concept of divine magic from a god itself. And where can I find this god? As far as I know, the age of gods has already ended. They have retreated to the other side of the word, right? Correct, quite intelligent you are, but there is still one. Go to Western Island. Is he talking about Ireland? Based on your luck, I am sure you will find the place of a god you are looking for. When the death feels on your soul and your heart comes to your throat, you will be in the territory. I was still contemplating what I was just told. Thanks. I will be going then. I was not sure if things were this complex. Another thing you should know. Either the doom of Arthur or destruction of this world will wait for you. What about the third option? That's why you are here, brat. Now get out of my room. I am going to fart really hard. You won't be able to survive. Fu *ku, old man. I ran away immediately to begin my research. Uther's POV. I will live to see next 15 years to see what type of trick you will pull against world. It will be so much interesting. Sniff *. I should stop eating cakes that damn incubus is bringing. The fart is the dark aura. It is actually a curse that will decide the doom of Britons. The age of mysteries from the surface will soon be wiped out. Einar's POV. I was in my room and my brain was still accessing what I just heard. If you look, then this fate system is indeed cruel. It was certain that I was in a universe of a fictional world, and the fate of characters will always be a cruel one. If what Uther said is true, then I am a little screwed. In simple terms, if you touch the fate of one person, it will change the timeline and you will be put on the target. In my previous life, I only watched anime, so I was not aware of other elements of this universe. Some of my online friends suggested playing games or reading manga, but I died before I could dive in Type Moonverse. Crying over spilled milk will not take me anywhere. What's done is done. I have to think about the future. Suddenly the book of Chastiefol, which was lying on the desk, opened itself and text appeared on the page. Einar, stab the erosion on the book. I was surprised that it called me by my name than host. No need to worry. It is time for you to receive answers. I needed some answers before I could be put to harm. Uther's words were still ringing in my head. Finding answers from Merlin was out of the question now. I take out erosion from the book storage and stab the cover on the book without wasting even a tiny bit of time. The book brightened the room with an intense light that I had to cover my eyes. What the? I opened my eyes and found myself in a garden surrounded by flowers. It was the most beautiful place I have ever seen. Welcome to Avalon. I heard a feminine voice and saw a girl pulling her skirt and bowing to me. She was a slender, pale-skinned female with a very petite frame. She has neck-length blonde hair, big golden eyes, and long, thin eyelashes. Two distinguishing features were her beautiful butterfly wings on her back and her height. She was 158 centimeters and I was still a midget about 145 centimeters. Are you not going to say anything? She asked with a bright smile. I was still in a daze after realizing who she actually was. Elaine? That's right, she had the appearance of the same character from Seven Deadly Sins. Elaine, sister of King whose weapon I was using and lover of Ban. What was she doing here? No, the better question would be who she actually is to me? Mother? An hour has passed and both of us staring at each other. She was just smiling and looking at me. Me? My mind was in a total mess. First Uther's story tortured my brain cells and now I came to meet my mother who took care of me before my memories merged with this body. I always had wondered who was the woman who took care of me since she always appeared blurred or she always existed in my subconsciousness. I never cared to discover her identity, but now that she was in front of me, I was having a hard time considering this beautiful girl my mother. Must be thinking that you can't bang your mother, right? She said with an innocent face and making a hand sign of rubbing a pipe. Yeah, wait for fuck's sake, stop reading my mind. And don't use vulgar words with an innocent face. I retorted. I was having my identity crisis. Just who the hell am I? Well, it was just a wild guess. It would be a scene to see a fairy son banging a fairy mother, hee, she said and chuckled. The hell is wrong with fairies of this world? I had a foul mouth that I knew, but I was not like this in my previous life. Vivian also likes to swear sometimes, but not in front of me and now her. Oh, come on. What the hell is wrong with my luck? Why is every new person is reading my mind? I frowned. Then you could ask any question. By the way, you can't bang me, yet. I ignored her last word and asked, please explain everything to me. Well, apart from banging me. She then started to explain. She was the spirit of this book. She was created after the actual persona of a fairy. It means that she was just like a robot with certain functions. She also reminded me of the actual reason I can't bang her that I ignored. She was not with the name, but the real fairy who created her was also called by the name Elaine. Elaine was the one who answered Uther's plead and used his soul as fuel to pull a soul from the void that connects to another universe. In short, it was a complete gamble with the only requirement being luck. Elaine then made a body from her essence and put my soul into it. Memory was necessary, but making it in an infant will damage the mentality, so she put the timer on my consciousness that will trigger my memory of my past life. She took care of me in this world, then left to real Avalon since the physical bodies of fairies couldn't continue to exist in the surface world. She also left me this treasure with unknown potential to my care. Don't ask about its source since it will drag this chapter with more unnecessary bullshit. The Avalon in the book was also an imitation of real Avalon. I knew about Avalon since I used to live with Vivian and such, but it was just a small portion where I could live with my physical body. In short, if you wish to bang the Realme, then all you have to do is to plead to real Elaine by rubbing your nose to her boots. She completed her explanation. Why does everything starts and stops from banging my mother? She was unbearable. Ahem, on to another important topic. My appearance is only possible once you have unlocked all forms of Chastiefol. I remembered I already unlocked all the forms of Chastiefol but didn't get the opportunity to use them. I still have EPs, but they could only be used to upgrade skills only. So congratulations that you now have a speaking system. She smiled and clapped her hands. Not a fan of those types of fetish and you are already annoying me. She was really hard to converse with. Well, thanks to another wannabe fairy, you have me to help you now. She must be referring to Morgan. Morgan also had the essence of a fairy, and she was the one who bestowed her weapon to me. Why did she do that? I questioned myself. I have talked to her few times, but I didn't detect even a tiny bit of envy towards Artoria. By the way, she remembered her gender, but she also didn't like to speak about it. For the time being, I let this curiosity be faced in the future. Now we shall discuss the plans of your future. I will tell you how the world works. Oh, make 4. A couple could be seen with their arms wrapped around each other and kissing in front of everyone without any care. Whether they were a servant or Chaldea workers, they couldn't sweep their eyes from the newly arrived soon-to-be broken servant and king of knights showing their passionate love without any care to the outside world. Earlier, 4 individuals could be seen walking in the hallway of Chaldea Security Organization. Einar, a newly high-ranking servant, was happily humming while holding hands with a silver-haired girl with rosy cheeks, Mash Kirilight. Hey Einar-san, she is my kohai. Gudako reluctantly said to Einar, who was happily holding the hand of her kohai. She was a little lost that her kohai gets friendly with another person beside her and a little romantic one on that, which is totally unacceptable. Senpai, it's okay. If Sir Einar is happy then. Mash tried to calm down Gudako but ended up blushing hard when seeing Einar and his closeness. Haha, just call me Einar-senpai. You know I was a teacher and mentor of Galahad. I am actually his uncle since Lancelot and I were brothers as we had the same foster mother. No, that's unacceptable. Gudako was annoyed with the relationship progressing between a servant and her kohai. She was ignored by both of them, no 3 of them if you include former male genius, Da Vinci, who just wanted to vanish. Oh, that's why I am feeling this closeness. I am sorry. Mash excitedly exclaimed but then realized that she was too close to Einar with an inch and then took some distance and blushed. Haha, could have been, but cute ladies like you are naturally attracted towards me. Don't mind my previous behavior, I don't plan on hitting any lady beside mine. You have lovers, who? Gudako tried to butt in the conversation but she was again ignored by the mysterious knight. You have a wife? Mash was also curious and didn't even take her 2 co-workers into account. Yeah, you will meet her soon since the conditions of my summon has been cleared. Einar just blinked towards ladies that petrified the young master and pseudo-servants to the core as he simply walked. Gudako pulled Mash and whispered, Hey Mash, don't you think he is a hottie? He looks similar to our age. Yes, no. Yes, he is handsome, that's what I want to say. Mash didn't know how to describe her feelings and became flustered. You know I am here, well never mind. Da Vinci was at loss on words. Einar suddenly stopped walking and smashed his hand on the wall. Bam asterisk. What the? After the debris was cleared, a person with silver long hair could be seen with an awkward smile. He was just using his illusion to hide from blonde hair servant, but Einar is called Doom of Round Table for a reason. Hello Merlin, my cute teacher. Einar greeted the said person with a kind yet cold smile while grabbing him with a collar. Hello Einar, my beloved disciple. Merlin also greeted his long-lost disciple with a helpless smile while his gaze asking for mercy. There was pin-drop silence. Chaldea trio was also tense since they were going to lose their greatest support, but Einar was also good support now despite being from night class. I am fucked up, am I? Yee up. Einar smiled and then decided to drag Merlin with him to meet other knights of the round table. Merlin-san, is your teacher? Mash asked, curiously ignoring the pleading state of a magus of flowers. Yeah, he taught me magic. I am here thanks to this man. Einar showing his appreciation to his teacher, to whom he was dragging with his collar. Thank you, Einar. And have mercy, please. Merlin's plead was heard loud and clear, but none of them put an ear to the magus. But you see, he is a playboy through and through. I am pretty sure the number of women in this organization far exceeds the women he slept in his life. Einar then revealed a dirty secret of the former grand servant. At Einar's statement, all 3 females stared at Magus with cold glares. Eek! Merlin freaked out. But don't worry, I have already taught him a lesson by cutting his dick, frying it, and then forcing him to eat in the past. Now they were completely shocked for Merlin to receive this kind of embarrassing yet horrifying punishment. That's why all the knights of the round table fear him. Merlin told the reason why all knights were afraid of Einar Sirius Dulac. That's mean. They respect me. Einar simply scoffed at Merlin's reason. Hi. Mash smiled and clung to Einar's arms. She was not even feeling any kind of embarrassment but pure admiration and respect. "Hey, not fair, I am your master." Gudako didn't take that anymore, and instead of separating Mash from Einar, she grabbed his other arm. Now you could see that this turned into the game of girls fangirling to a handsome boy in some high school. Haha, no worry here. Einar also didn't dislike his first master, who was a cute girl. "By the way, how come you are summoned as Lancer and not Caster?" Gudako asked, and all of their attention immediately fell on Einar. Merlin and Da Vinci were a little heartbroken as casters since Einar was good support and he was filling the role of a caster, but how come Einar is a Lancer? Einar fell on deep thought and then answered that blew their remaining brain cells. "Luck. They all knew that they can't pass through him. Haha, my original class should be that of a ruler or caster, but I came here with my own accord and not by ordinary summoning, hence I can't be ruler to oversee Holy Grail wars. Caster? I am a good mage, but I am more of fighting in close combat, hence I choose this class since my main weapon Chastiefol is a spear but could take many forms." Oh. They have to give this knight credit upon even choosing his class on his own accord. They were suddenly stopped when Einar stopped walking, and following his gaze, they saw a blonde hair short girl in front of them. She was wearing a white shirt and blue skirt. Her expression was similar to Einar, which was similar to a man meeting his wife after a long time. She was Artoria Pendragon, Saber. Einar separated from two girls and ran after Artoria, and Artoria as ran towards Einar like a childhood friend meeting her future husband. They stopped when they were just a few inches away and started staring into each other's eyes. Einar then softly caressed Artoria's cheek, who smiled brightly. Without saying a single word, Einar wrapped his arms on her waist, whereas Artoria did the same around his neck, and without a single second of hesitation, their lips met. Mash, Da Vinci, and Gudako all dropped their jaws on the ground. Einar and Artoria are couples? Not only them but other servants also showed a similar reaction. A tan-skinned man felt a chill to his spine and immediately ran towards the toilet only to find that it was occupied by two Celtic warriors. Einar and Artoria were so lost in their reunion that they seemed to forget that other people were watching them. Fergus and Edward Teach were biting their nails upon seeing a good contestant who would steal other female servants' hearts, whereas Osakabeheim was taking pictures to make a romance doujinshi. After exploring each other's interiors, Einar and Artoria then separated with a silver string hanging between their lips. Both of their cheeks were flushed too, but not enough to reveal their horny side to others. Einar gazed into Artoria's eyes and spoke, "I am back." Artoria also smiled brightly. "Never before, I am hungry." "Me too." Einar holds her hand and both of them disappeared, leaving a single chit behind. "Meet everyone tomorrow. And by the way, gather all knights since I have a business to talk to them. If they refuse, tell them that Einar is waiting for them. Bye." If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kayashin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my P at Trian. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Ben Phillips.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.